Hi, second grade. Welcome to our second day during our first week of literacy review. So before we start to write, I want to make sure we call it ready to write. So you're sitting correctly, nice and tall, feet flat on the floor, holding your pencil correctly or your marker. If you're me, don't use a marker, use a wooden six-sided pencil. And with your paper in your writing spot. Okay, so actually, let's see, put your pencil down. Sorry, I'm used to it when we're in the classroom, but usually we wait until it's time to pick up our pencil and write, and then we put it down. Before we learn some new phonograms today, I want us to give ourselves just a tiny little quiz about what we remember from yesterday. So the first thing I would like you to do is write the phonogram that says g, j. Say it while you write it. And all right, put your pencil down. Now, if you didn't remember, what we would do would be, if I couldn't remember, I would draw a line below the baseline, right where I would have put my phonogram. That lets your teacher know, I don't know. And then when I show you the answer, you can go ahead and write it in. All right, but don't just wait and have me write it. And I want you to be challenging yourself and seeing what can I remember from yesterday. All right, so your phonogram that says g, j should be this one. All right, and I hope you made it beautiful. Anytime we write, we always want to make it as beautiful as we can. All right, next I want you to write the phonogram that says k, s, and say the sounds while you write it. I'm going to go kind of quickly. If you need to pause me, that's just fine. This is our phonogram that says k, s. So check and see if you had the same one that I did. All right, now I want you to write the phonogram that says ah, o, oo. Say it while you write it. All right, our phonogram that says ah, o, oo is this one. All right, so nice job if you remembered all three of those. If not, then you can just remember, oh, I'm gonna need to come back to that sometime later today, and I want to review those and see if I can do better this time around. Okay, now we are ready to move on to some new phonograms. These are all going to be clock strokes. All right, put your pencil down. All right, these are all going to be clock strokes, and I think we're going to finish all our clock stroke letters today. All right, so this is our next one. This says D. Say it with me, D. All right, by yourself? Good, D. Now, one way that I remember, so look at my mouth when I say D. What shape was my mouth in? It was a circle, right, which looks like our clock stroke. So that's going to help me remember D is a clock stroke letter because my mouth looks like a clock stroke. So that means I'm going to have to start it over a space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. All right, so I'll talk you through it. Pencil down, just watch how I do it. Over a space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Curve up, touch the dotted line, curve down, touch 10, touch 8, touch the baseline, touch 4, touch 2. We'll push a straight line up to the top baseline, pull a straight line down to the bottom baseline, and lift. All right, that one's kind of tricky, and it's really important that we make it correctly so we don't get it confused with a different one of our phonograms. I think you know what I mean. They look kind of similar, but backwards. All right. So watch one more time. If you want, you can try and trace it in the air, but I want you to be watching. So we'll start over, space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Curve up, touch the dotted line, curve down, touch 10, touch 8, touch the baseline, touch 4, touch 2. I don't pick it up, I push a straight line up to the top baseline, pull a straight line down to the bottom baseline. and lift. And this is my D. All right. Now, let's see. Okay. I want you to write it and I will talk you through it. So start over, space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. And remember, I want you to say it while you write it. I know that's a lot to keep in track because we're thinking about how we form it and saying it, but that's going to help it stay in our brain better if we say it while we write it. So start over, space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. All right, we'll go all the way around, up, and straight down. All right, and I hope you were saying D while you wrote it. All right, can you do that for me one more time, saying the sound while you write it? All right, so class, what sound does this say? Good, it says D. All right. Our next phonogram is this one. This one has 3 sounds. This one says ah, ah. Say it with me. Ah, ah. Good. Now by yourself. Excellent. Ah, ah. Put your pencil down if you had it in your hand. I'm going to talk you through how we write it, and then we'll write it while we say the sounds. So just like all our clock letters, this is going to start over, space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Curve up, touch the dotted line, curve down, touch 10, touch 8, touch the baseline, touch 4, touch 2. We don't pick our pencil up, we just pull a straight line down to the baseline and then lift our pencil. All right, are you ready? Ready to write? All right. So I'm going to write it and say, while I write it, you do it with me. And then it's your turn to do it by yourself. Ah, ah. All right, now I want you to do it one more time, writing it, saying the sounds while you write it. All right, good. And class, what does this say? Good, it says ah, ah. Excellent. Let's see, we only have 2 more clock stroke phonograms, and I think we'll be able to get through them both. All right, so this next one is a little bit of a funny clock stroke phonogram. So make sure you're listening to how we're going to write it. Your pencil should be down, just watching and listening. All right, this one has 2 sounds. It says s, z. Class, what does that, or say it with me? S, z. Good. Now on your own. Excellent. S, z. All right. Watch how we're going to make it. Just like all our clock stroke letters, we'll start over a space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Curve up, touch the dotted line, curve down, touch 10. This is where it gets funny. We curve across our clock face to touch 4, then we curve backwards to touch the baseline 8 and lift. All right, I'll show you that one more time because we haven't gone across our clock face at all. We've been going around the whole time, so that one's kind of funny. Over space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Curve up, touch the dotted line, curve down, touch 10. Curve across, touch 4, curve back, touch the baseline, touch 8, and lift. All right, get ready to write. All right, ready? Go to your starting spot, over space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Write it and say the sounds while you write it. All right, let's do it again. Go over space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. Write it, say it while you write it. All right, excellent job with all the phonograms we've been working on so far. We've got one more that we're going to do today. This is our last clock stroke phonogram, but this one has a funny starting spot. We still start it over a space and 2 on the clock, but we start it under the top bass line. This is the only phonogram that starts here. So our starting spot is over a space just below the top bass line, touch 2 on the clock. Can you say that with me? Over a space just below the top bass line, touch 2 on the clock. All right, pencils down, just watch. Oh my goodness, I forgot to show it to you. It says, class, say it with me. What does this one say? All right, and by yourself? Good. All right, so I'm going to go over a space just below the top bass line, touch 2 on the clock, curve up, touch the top bass line, curve down, touch 10. Then I'm going to pull a straight line down to the bass line and lift. Right? I go just above the dotted line and just on the side of our downward stroke, and I'm going to make a little line like that. Okay. All right, that one's kind of tricky, so I want you to watch one more time. I'm going to go over a space just below the dotted line, just below the top bass line, touch 2 on the clock. Curve up, touch the top bass line, curve down, touch 10, and then pull a straight line down to the bass line and lift your pencil. Then I'm going to go just above the dotted line and just on the side of our line stroke and make a short dash stroke. I know we haven't talked about all the different strokes yet, but if you were here before, you learn them, and if not, a dash stroke just means it goes in the direction that we read and write. So this is our all right, so I want you to write your say it while you write it. All right, and do it one more time. Write one more and say the sound while you write it. All right, excellent work today. You can go take a break, do a different subject, and when we come back, we're going to start writing some nonsense words with the phonograms we've learned.